Hey, hello, how are you? This is a show for everyone else. Instead of going after top 1% of the world, we dedicate this podcast to celebrate the lives of the unsung heroes and self-made artists.
Every time I practice, I have to feel myself. That's how I perfect my movements. I inspire her, so she also inspiring me, and those videos, I think people enjoy watching it because it is so much of a good energy. For me, it's something that I'm spending time with my kids, but also I'm teaching them in a certain way, without pushing them. This is the big sport, right? This is a professional sport. And you have to understand, and people have to understand, it can kill you or it can make you stronger. I know I am a very strong person because I want people to don't do those mistakes that I did, because it's absolutely not easy to stop. When I joined Cirque, I started with the touring show. For me, I had 2 suitcases. So 2 suitcases, and you have to pack winter and summer clothes. And for me, even then, so it kind of teaches you to not to buy many things. So if you buy something, then you'll have to give away. And I never had a problem doing that. I love giving, I love sharing, and it's still nowadays, nothing changes.
Hey, how are you guys? It's Fei Wu, your host from the Feisworld podcast. One of the most requested episodes is here, believe it or not, with Cirque du Soleil hand balancer, Instagram sensation, Gasya Akhmetova-Atherton. The last name may sound very familiar to you because Gasya is married to Andrew Atherton, one of the Atherton twins from Cirque du Soleil. Andy and Kevin Atherton have both appeared on an earlier episode of Feisworld, and also one of the most popular episodes we have ever created. Joining Cirque at the tender age of 17, Gasya is now a mother to 2 beautiful and adorable children, Kamali and Kaysen. Over the past 2.5 years, I have grown much closer to the entire family and watched the kids grow up. In between that time, something magical happened. One day, when Gasya was just practicing her movements at home, Kamali, her daughter, bravely jumped on her mom's back, and a short video was captured. Kamali was having so much fun, not knowing that they would later become an overnight Instagram sensation everyone would be talking about. Literally everyone. I had colleagues and friends forwarding me the videos on Facebook I didn't even know. Then more videos were produced and widely shared on major channels from Cosmopolitan to Daily Mail, Mamma Mia, Shape, Live Buzz, you name it. Most of these videos had well over 1 million views. Gasya went from having a few thousand followers to today over 200,000 engaging fans on Instagram. I waited a long time for this recording because Gasya said she would be more comfortable recording it in person rather than via Skype. So I traveled from Boston to their home in Vegas for the recording. Gasya went above and beyond what I had imagined her talking about. Her stories go all the way back to her training as a little girl, the hardships she endured to become the artist she is today. Andy and Kevin Atherton by her side, having transformed her life, the Fantastic 3, or should I say, Fantastic 6, with Kamali, Kaysen, and the newest member of the family, Luca, Kevin's new son. Together, they're creating some serious footage of their life and workout images. This episode is for those of you who want to learn more about Gasya as a person, a mother, a wife, and a friend. a woman who defied many odds to have the life she lives today. And she's grateful for the little things every day. If you like this episode, make sure to tune in the week after as well, when we invite Gasya, Andy, and Kevin Atherton back to join us on a brand new episode. It's a blast. Last but not least, it takes seconds to subscribe to Feisworld Podcast. It's a single click on your mobile device, and you'll have brand new episodes delivered right to your devices automatically. It's a gift to us when you choose to submit a review for the show as well. Always honest feedback. You might not know this, but it makes a huge difference. Without further ado, please welcome Gasya Akhmetova-Atherton to the Feisworld Podcast.
Yeah, Gasya, I'm so happy to be here and to be interviewing you. I've known your work for so long, but you have really you become an artist on your own. There's so many different stories you're telling. So tell me about the origin. Like, how did those videos with Kamali even become a thing on the internet?
Oh dear. It's also nice to have you here. The video of me and Kamali, it kind of like started unexpectedly. It just came out of pretty much nowhere. You know, when they say like, "Oh, you become famous overnight," and pretty much that what happened on social media. So what happened? So we moved to New York. We were living in New York. Whilst my husband was working, obviously I'm looking after the kids. And there was a time that they had to have a nap. Usually my daughter doesn't like to sleep, so she doesn't like to have a nap. But I always used to put her to bed so she can rest whilst my son is sleeping. So, and I did take that time just for myself, training and balancing, because that's what I do. That's what my passion was always. And just not to forget, how to balance on my hands. I started to practice during that time. And then one of the day, my daughter, she came whilst I was upside down on the canes. So that's the apparatus I'm working called hand balancing canes. Yeah, so I was upside down doing a handstand, and she came and she just hold onto the canes, and then lift her legs up, and I was shocked.
How old was Kamali at the time?
She
Do you remember?
was 3.5, 3 years old. Yeah, but and what's happened? So whilst I was practicing, because every time I practice, I have to see myself, because one thing is feeling how you're doing it, but on the video it looks different. So every time I practice, I have to feel myself. That's how I perfect my movements. So yeah, and that's how it happened. So I got a chance to, it was filmed, and to share this video with my husband, with Kevin, instead of like sending messages separately. I just posted on social media on my Instagram page, so my mom, my family back in Kazakhstan could see. So, and it just happened. This video got, reposted on so many different channels, and it was, yeah. I mean, I was shocked what my daughter showed me.
Wow. I can't believe this, like, in terms of timeline. It wasn't even that long ago. Because Kamali is only 4.5, and this happened about a year and a half ago.
Yeah. It happened in April, sometime in April, when all this craziness on social media happened. Yeah. So that video really gone viral. So after that video, I decided, why not? Maybe I can start practice with my daughter, so she can, because she obviously enjoys it, and I'm not pushing. So I asked her, would you like to try? So she said yes. And for me, it was more of a fun, and something that this way she can learn without being pushed, what to do and how to do. So she enjoys it, and so she started to be a part of my trainings. And obviously her favorite part is to film as well and to look at herself. And the second video gone viral was with the Kaysen, where Kaysen was standing and watching us from the side. You could see on that video, like, he's like, a little part of his body, like mostly like it's belly, you can see. And then at the end of the video, he just sits down, and you see it's him. So that's the second video that gone viral on Instagram. And so yeah, after that.
Wow. So you had I noticed you had an Instagram page, you had a Facebook page way before this happened. How big of a jump, if you still recall, like how many people did you have prior to these videos versus immediately after?
Yeah, it's well, it's kind of hard to remember, but yeah, like over, I think I used to have probably like 5 6,000 followers before, but then like after first video and after second video, like it started to like appear like it went 9,000, and then like it started to pick up, but it kind of like it did kind of bring me quite a lot. Like now I have, at the moment I have 199,000, so I'm close to 200,000 followers. So I mean, it goes that way. It goes naturally, I mean, I'm not pushing, but people seems enjoying our video.
Why do you think they enjoy watching those videos?
Well, because definitely they're such an amazing kids. So, and what I do, I know I'm not the only person who can do, like who can hand balance with somebody's on the back, because there's so many circus artists, contortionists. They always do that. So I never really like was telling that, I am special or something like that. So it comes from my kids. So now I see that my daughter, she is talented. I'm not pushing. I know she's very flexible. I want her to slowly kind of develop what she wants to do. If she like, she enjoys it. Obviously she is very enjoying, to be a part of the trainings, and it's amazing. It's obviously I inspire her, so she also inspiring me, and those videos, I think people enjoy watching it because it is so much of a good energy, like, yes, I think there is something special that she gives, because like obviously I always enjoy watching her because it's amazing what she can do. And I guess also the fact that it's a mother and kids bond, like togetherness, you know so for me it's something that I'm spending time with my kids, but also I'm teaching them in certain way, without being pushing them. Yeah, my mom, she tried to give everything she could. I started to do gymnastics when I was 4 years old. And once again, it all for my mom intention wasn't to put me into gymnastics, yeah, into sport at such an early age. So, but because I have older sister and she's 1.5 year older, so she took my sister to gymnastics. And whilst they were testing my sister, the coach asked if I can go and play whilst they testing my sister. But because I was that kind of person, whatever my sister was doing, I always wanted to copy her, to do everything she's doing. She's like my twin, even although she's older. We were like twins. Yeah, I copied everything she was doing, splits, like flexibility, strengths. And after that test, coach came and she said, like, this girl, she's definitely talented, and she's got this kind of athletic, character in her. So why not? You should bring her to now, from now on, to the like gymnastic classes.
Do you still remember when you were practicing at the age of 4 or 5 at the time?
I do. I do, because I remember I mean, vaguely remember, but I do because I think we started to do gymnastic classes. And in a week time, I was already a flyer, which is, like they're calling a little girls, because I used to work with the partners. And I started with this girl, Kazakhstanian girl. But for some reason, I always felt more comfortable with two partners. So two base, as we're calling it. And I was always competitive and I always wanted to be the best. Even then, I started to realize. And my mom, she started to see that more and more. But for my mom, it was really important. Like, sport is sport, but you still have to study, like education is really important. So we were always like going through. But with the time, my mom, she started to realize that this girl, the only thing she's thinking, it was sport, like some essays or some works, like important works at school we had to do. And my mom, she will, like, one day before, like, essay or exams, she will be like having a chat with me, and she will say, okay, so this and this and this is how you have to do, this is what you have to do tomorrow, do and then at the end she was like, so do you understand what I was just talking to you about? And I will say, oh mom, I have this element I'm doing tomorrow in acrobatics. And my mom, she's like, she just said, okay, this girl only thinking about sports. So I started to show definitely that I really enjoy, and this is something important in my life. I was how old I was. I was probably 8, 9 years old at that time. But I enjoy, like, I loved from, I guess, day one until pretty much the last day of my sport life. I enjoyed being.
Which has never has long come to an end because you're so very
It
active.
did, and yes, because I mean, yes, my last competition was 2006, 1 week before I joined Cirque. So that was really big, fast transition for me being an athlete to become an artist. So, and yes, it's slightly different, like I could do everything they asked me, but you have to become an artist. You have to be on stage and to be a character. So it was amazing experience as well.
So tell me a bit more about, I mean, 2006, you're still very young back then, and you're competing. What type of competition were you doing at the time? I guess, what were your skill sets and
Yes.
things you enjoyed?
Well, 2006, that was my final competition. It was middle of May, and that was the World Cup Championship. Sports acrobatics. Yeah, so gymnastic acrobatics, or acro sport as they call it. So yeah, that was my last competitions. But yeah, I mean, my dedication to the sport was really, pretty long. It was from 4 until I was 17. So at that time I was 17. Then I joined Cirque, and in Cirque within like 2 months I turned 18, and yeah, that was my.
How were you discovered by Cirque du Soleil?
I've been discovered by Cirque du Soleil. So every international competitions, either world championship, World Cup, or World Games. So on each of those international competition, we always have representatives from Cirque du Soleil. And obviously, like, they're showing you what Cirque du Soleil is all about, and you can continue, your skills, like being an athlete, but in different kind of like genre. So yeah, and then they're asking if you would like to participate and be a part of Cirque du Soleil team. Then you have to apply online, and obviously, like, they're also watching you. They see you a lot, live, how you, like, what kind of athlete you are. Like, someone actually contacted me from Cirque du Soleil, so they wanted me to send a video. It's like a demo video of your, so I sent a video, and then within few weeks I got a contract to do, like, training in Montreal for 4 months, and I signed that right away. I was like, yes, I would love to go and do that.
From Kazakhstan directly to Montreal.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So, but then they look. So I did sign that contract for 4 months, but then I don't know, maybe not even a month later, I'm receiving another contract to join already existing show, which was Varikai, right? So I got a contract for 1.5 years, and it's to go to Australia. So for me, it was like either 4 months or 1.5 year. I was like, well, I'm finished with sport. I finished with acrobatics. Now at least, I can relax. I have 1.5 year, contract, like a job to do. So, and yes, and plus it was to be a flyer with the two porters, like trio, and that's what I did in sport for pretty much all my life.
I mean, you don't mind me asking, how much did you weigh as a flyer? I see men and women, they're really tiny. I wonder.
Well, it is kind of a long story, but
Yeah, tell
now
me.
I started to open up more and more, and actually, yeah. So you always have to be light, and especially where I come from, it's Kazakhstan, right? So, or if we will take any of the ex-Soviet Union countries, Russia, Belarus, Ukraine, it's not like being in America. In America, you can get sued by if you will say something wrong or if you will like physically abuse someone, you know? So where in our countries, it's not. Like that's the different way of teaching. So yeah, you always have to be light. Every day, my partners always used to weigh me before the trainings. So the heaviest it was 33 kilos, and I was 17 years old. So by the end of my sport career, I was 33 kilos at 17. I think when I joined Cirque, I was like 93 pounds. So, but yeah, I finished when I was 33 kilos. Saying that, now I start to say this and I start to share this. This is the big sport, right? This is a professional sport. And you have to understand, and people have to understand, but it can kill you or it can make you stronger. By meaning that 33 kilos, it's very, very little. I did went through illness. It called bulimia. I went through that. Yeah, so it's kind of normal for me now to talk. But for a long time, I tried to hide this as much as I could. Even I knew people are guessing. Even when I joined Cirque, I still had this illness. And I think this is definitely one of the hardest type of my life that I had to go through. Why I'm saying it's mental illness, because when you go into sport, right, they're always checking your weight, always. So it becomes a problem. It's like, oh my God, I cannot eat this, I cannot eat that. If I will drink a glass of water, I'm gonna get bigger. And it was like that. So it definitely affected my mental health. Yeah. So, and I did have problems. I did have the health problems through my sport life where I had nothing. I was literally it was bones and the skin, you know, but I needed energy. And at some point, like my arms started to get really like, you know, I had cramps and I had to work. I had to continue. And that's the thing. I couldn't say this to my mom, even although I'm sure she probably saw that, you know, I eat, but then I lose weight, you know. I can say that I am a very strong person because not because of physically I am strong. I might be physically strong, but this type of thing could have killed, and I knew because it lasted for quite several years, not even few, probably 4 or 5 years.
I really appreciate you saying this, but it's so important. I've met so many women in my life, ballet to even high school and college sports, not even national level, you know? And then, you know, as you know, in the US, most girls are participating in sports, soccer, field hockey. And so many of them have gone through such traumatic experience, not nearly as severe as yours. And they're going out there and looking for women who share that voice, and to realize that you've come through all that. So there's a future, you know, you overcame that.
It is, yeah. And that's what I said, that I know I am a very strong person because I've been struggling with these illnesses for quite a long time. I couldn't share with anyone. I couldn't share with my mom. I couldn't share with my friends, with my family. And then I started to date, you know, Andy, because I want people to like don't do those mistakes that I did, because it's not easy to it's absolutely not easy to stop.
So what are some of the advice, or what are some of the mistakes that you feel like you made by not sharing, I guess?
I guess, yeah, by not sharing, trying to hide everything inside of me. And now for me, I know what it's like, and I can see this kind of person who's doing, but it's kind of normal for those countries.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's so normal because you're being physically and mentally abused. So for me, now my life is gym. Like I would eat whatever I want. Where before I would be so afraid, you know, that even if I'll drink water, I was afraid to gain weight.
Water weight. Yeah.
Yes, you know,
Yeah.
things like that. But now I was like, now I have 2 kids. I eat whatever I want. If I want a piece of cake, I will eat because I know I will go to the gym, and you know my lifestyle is a healthy lifestyle. So I try to eat healthy most of the time. It doesn't mean that I'm not eating or I'm cutting completely everything from my life. It never be a case.
Yeah. Your life isn't your own anymore. You have, and then I think that really goes back to what you said about the way that you work with Kamali. You look at her as this young baby girl. She's she's your life. And I think when you look at her and her engagement, her love for the sports, for Cirque's art, or for working out with you, you don't want to change any of that. You don't want to make it into what you had to go through.
I want her to enjoy everything she's doing. Whatever she will decide to do in her life, we will only support. Once again, she will be the only person who will decide what she wants to do in her life. You know, we will only support and we'll only share with, with her our knowledge.
So one thing you said the first time we met, sat down in New York, there's something you said that hit me and that made me realize I have to do this. And granted, today you gave me so much more than what I had even on my mind, and so little I knew about you and the journey that you went through. But one thing you said to me, which was, on Instagram, it's really easy to gain new fans for you and simply for you to record more videos of just you and Kamali. And super cute. We love watching that, no question. But at the same time, you are an artist, right? You are not a mom. To no disrespect to moms who, work at home, if this is something yoga or something they enjoy doing. But deep down, you are an artist at the core, So you said something that you're not only having Instagram just to post mom and daughter videos, even though this may seem like precisely what the world wants, and that's all they want. But you want to try other things. So tell me your thinking there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's absolutely right, because I started this page just to have a family, to share some moments of my family, of my life, right? And then this boom happened, where me and Kamali, like, big become a star on social media, on Instagram, and people do want to watch. I do get so many comments and so many messages. We want to see more and more, and I know people love that, and I know what can make a really successful page. It's doing those videos with my kids, and I know that absolutely. But my page is still about my personal life. So I share every, like, moments, like, who's when Kamali start to read, start to do dance. So when Kaysen was born, like, the moments of me and my husband, like, we doing something. So it's that page, and plus I got back to work. I got back on stage, because it's still, I'm not finished. Even until 5 years, I decided just to dedicate this time only to the family, and that was really important for me to do. And yeah, my kids are kind of like grown up a little, so I decided it's time for me to go back. So same thing with my page. Instagram is my life. I want to share all the moments from my life. And I know this video is really, I guess, the most successful kind of. But I also see there's so many women start to do those videos, and for me that's not the case. I don't want just to get followers. They, who wants to follow me, they follow me. It's my life, because I want to show everyone that this is my personal life. This is my performing life. This is my life with the kids. So all those moments, I still want to continue to bring it on my social media account.
I think it's not every artist out there, including successful ones, have that level of awareness. um, there are sayings like you disappear kind of up in yourself, and you kind of go after and create things only the public will approve and like. So for you as a young artist, still with that level of consciousness and awareness to who you are and what you want to do, I've found that to be really refreshing. And, this is not just to compliment you, but I really wish artists and musicians out there see that as well. When you produce an album, are you designing that for all your current fans? But what if they decide to like something else or someone else? I mean, are you stuck with that image, that profile of you? But you mentioned something else I realized I want to talk about just now. We're jumping around because there's so much to your story, which is you as a mom. I know there are a lot of circus artists out there really fear having a family, having children, making travel difficult, making their career about not just about themselves anymore. So could you tell me about the transition? Because I knew you were working with two very young children, 4 and 2. What was that decision making like, and how did you make it work? Because what if there are other artists out there not want to know how you do it?
Well, it was pretty well. It was pretty easy for me to make this decision because since I met Andy, right, and for me he was such a star. Like the first show I ever worked, and he was there. I didn't speak any English in 2006. I didn't speak any English, and he's British. So you have like, for me, I was so determined to learn the language. And once it happened, I mean, it's gradually was like going, better and better and stronger. And like, I just love very simple life. I was never looking for something, that it's just out of this world, kind of. So Andy is my first man in my life. And I'm so glad, this guy now is my husband. So, we're both kind of the same. And respect each other. We are best of friends, So, and just to make this decision to have a family. So since he proposed to me, I was just thinking, I worked on a second show, which was Iris in Los Angeles. So I worked 1 year, and then we got married, and I decided I think it's good time to have kids, to start to have a family. And it was amazing. Like, it kind of like everything we planned, because we started to plan when we should have a baby, and then we were supposed to have a vacation for like 1.5 months because of the Oscar awards, the Academy Awards. So we're taking places in a theater that we was working, and and we're like, okay, let's have by this time. Everything is just like, it was perfect. It was like a fairy tale, to be honest. So, and then after that, I always knew I want to have another baby because of me and my sister. I know that, the closer age, they will be so close to each other. So I wanted to have another baby. So, and that's why I decided not to go back to work, decided to take some time and just to have another baby. And after that, I knew it will be easy for me to recover because I'm still pretty young. So, and I was like, I can have babies, and I knew I wasn't finished with my performing life because I still want to perform.
So we talked about briefly about traveling and minimalism. So I want to talk about that. I often wonder. I mean, it's a popular subject these days, talking about minimalism, how to minimize your belonging. And for the past 2 years, I personally have worked very hard on it, sometimes without much success, i.e., buying more things, holding on to more things.
It's so easy, especially being a woman, right?
And there's so much temptation, right? Like
It
you
is,
go to every
absolutely.
store.
Yes, it's absolutely right. You're right. But I've been, grew up by my family, and my mom, she always used to like, we don't hold on to things. We always give. And even although like we went through hard times back in Kazakhstan, where we couldn't, my dad just couldn't get any money. Like, he wasn't get paid for like months and months. So, and we had to like eat like, just the most like cheapest things, maybe whatever grows in our backyard. So things like that. And my mom, she would still manage to give clothes to kids or to family who needed the most. So for us, it was always like a privilege to do that. And then, of course, when I joined Cirque, I started with the touring show that called Varikai. So every months and a half to 3 months, we used to travel around the world, around the sea, so many different cities. So, and you have, for me, like I had 2 suitcases. That's how many like suitcases we could take with us. So 2 suitcases, and you have to pack winter and summer clothes. So, and for me, even then, so it kind of like teaches you to not to buy many things. So if you buy something, then you'll have to give away. And I never had a problem doing that. I love giving, I love sharing, and it's still nowadays, nothing changes. Yeah, so for 5 years I've been traveling, and then, my husband is also the same. We don't buy many things. We enjoy as little, whatever we have, and very simple, like super simple. Same thing here in the house, because we were living in Los Angeles for 2 years, and then unfortunately the show got closed, so we had to move. So we came here to Los Angeles, I mean to Las Vegas, and my husband got a job here. For 2 years he worked in the show, and after that we got another contract that was in New York. So we know that we constantly will be moving, so, and it also helps you not to buy many things, because then you're having a trouble to what you have to do with those things.
Yeah. So what are some of the things you can live without other than your family and your children? Like what are some of your favorite items and things that you do use regularly? I mean, you could pack your life, you can go hiking or live somewhere probably in a small luggage.
I think the only thing for me is really really important, and I cannot lose them, and I cannot, it's the documents, as I was when we had the robbery in the house. I don't care. I absolutely don't care, because these are just things. Because you understand, sometimes computer can broke, or you can spill the water. So, and like, and my daughter one time she threw up on my computer. So, and I mean, you're getting upset, but it's just the thing. That's all. Like for me, whatever like I have, it's always with me. Like for me, this is the ring that is most important. But even if I will lose, I'm not gonna like cry. Yes, it will be upsetting, but I'm not gonna cry. Everything is with me, and this is the family for sure, because we travel, we make memories, we so for us it's definitely that. Even with the same thing, nothing is forever, right? Like there's certain pictures that's kind of important to us. So we all have like several hard drives, to back up in case something happens, because then are those memories. But once again, it's in our mind. It's we're living the life, we're making memories, and all of these things will never be, the things that will stick to, and we'll try, like we'll be like sitting and praying like nothing please happen.
Thank you so much for sharing kind of your inner thoughts, things that people may or may not see or hear about, on even on a picture or on a video. So I want to talk about photography real quick, because you take these beautiful photographs of yourself on Instagram. They're stunning. So are they mostly taken by Andy or Kevin or?
Yes. So, obviously, when all this social media craziness happened to me, and it was in New York. So there's so many photographers, started to contact me. They want to do photo shoot here, like so many different photo shoots, on which I always would agree to do. And it was such an amazing experience, to be honest, because there's so many different people, so many different styles, and it was beautiful. And also, like, I started to understand, oh my goodness, I learned so much. And also I started to learn what looks good, what doesn't look good. So, and I know the poses and things like that. But Andy and Kevin, we all fell in love with the pictures. So we started to, so we purchased the camera, and we started to play with that. So, and it getting like more and more serious. So, and of course, like now they have a object and subject to work with. And it's amazing, because it's 3 of us. So we all into photographies. So, and it's so much easier when it's not just one person is looking for something, but it's 3. So we do enjoy it, and yes, like all those movements we try to create, and to do once again like something simple but something unusual. So it's very amazing way to be creative, like, and to show certain things through, through the photographies, which is inspire us like so much. And I mean, it's beautiful. It's such a beautiful, and it's so easy to work with your husband. So so you can spend as much as time as you want. And sometimes, like, I will have something in my head, like some kind of imagination, and I will try to do that. But then he will say, "Okay, you're doing that, but can you do this?" So it all becomes, or we become as just one big team that make this magic photographies.
Yeah. What a wonderful experience. And I just watching you guys work together is something that I can relate to, because my parents also, one calligrapher, the other an artist. So my mom finishes painting something and he would write on her painting. That's just like that partnership is there. And I never thought about, you could rent equipment or schedule time with other people, but then they might not show up, or it's
Yes,
too
and
long.
it's, and that's the thing, because with all this photography, I was like, it's so beautiful when you have like your husband and your brother-in-law are into photography. So whenever I want to go and do the shoot, right, I can go anytime. I'll just have to ask, because one of them will sit with the kids, another one will go with me, and then whenever I want to like post that photo or do anything, it's just it's so like easy, because like there's so many photographers. Once again, I worked, and sometimes you're just not gonna get any like any images back, and you're just like sitting and waiting, and you kind of want to see them, but you still don't see. So everyone has their own different rules. Some of them are very disappointing, some of them are really nice. So
I think when you love each other, right, that love is there, and that's when you create art that's irreplaceable. And when you look through the camera, that's so beautiful. I mean, I couldn't think of ending in a more positive note. But thank you so much for
oh,
sharing
thank
your
you so much.
stories.
It was such amazing to talk to you. And
Hi there, it's me again. I want to thank you very much for listening to this episode, and I hope you were able to learn a few things. If you enjoyed what you heard, it would be hugely helpful if you could subscribe to the Feisworld podcast. It literally takes seconds. If you're on your mobile phone, just search for Feisworld podcast in the podcast app on iPhone or an Android app such as Podcast Addict, and click subscribe. All new episodes will be delivered to you automatically. Thanks so much for your support.